I want to speak tonight on the topic of belonging. Belonging. And as I was praying into this gathering tonight, the vision the Lord gave me was of his house coming down among us. And I think it's a literal thing. I think that the Father's house is among us tonight. And that God is going to be extending an invitation by the Holy Spirit to come home to him in a deeper way. Spending a lot of time with those in emotional pain, I have come to desire to focus more and more and more and more and more the ministry that we're doing to this simple thing of bringing people to a place of belonging in God and intimacy with God. At the bottom of emotional pain are unmet needs. You and I were born with needs and we die with needs. Right? We don't outgrow our needs, but we find ways to get them met as our life goes on, and we pick up healthy tools or unhealthy tools in ways to get those needs met. If you have suffered injury to the heart, you have the need to be comforted, you have the need to be justified, you have the need to be seen, to be understood. And in my opinion, what emotional healing is you getting those needs met by God instead of looking to other things to meet those needs. And so increasingly, right, when I'm ministering to someone or we're ministering to people, we're trying to see past the presenting issue to the need of the heart that we want connected to the Lord. Because when you receive from Jesus in an area of need in your heart, it solves 1,000 lesser things at the same time. And we are all about shortcuts, right? Because Jesus got in there and he just did it, and we want to learn how to do that too. So emotional healing has to do with people getting their needs met by God through intimacy with God. Among those needs, there's a big primary one, which is to belong. And that's the one I want to focus on and drill down into for a bit tonight. Those who are ministering emotional healing, I believe that we are like Sherpas to bring the lonely to a place of belonging in God. When Jesus stepped into our world, thank you. When Jesus stepped into our world, it all changed. Suddenly, there was hope on the scene. And the very people who were hurting the most and who were marginalized became the center of the story that God was unfolding. The ones who did not belong were suddenly the ones who belonged the most. And the way that he interacted with people, what is he doing? He's pulling them from obscurity into a place of home. He's pulling them from the sideline into a place of belonging. In the very beginning of the biblical story, we see God's First, the first thing he says is not good, is loneliness. The first thing he identifies he's concerned about is that somebody would be alone. Loneliness is so toxic to the heart. When you're missing an experience of belonging, there's toxins that can grow so easily in the heart. So belonging is what solves loneliness. And it's what we see in the ministry of Jesus as he's just pulling people home all along the way. So let me say this. The good news for you and I and those who have suffered from trauma and mental illness and emotional pain is that we are actually at the center of his story. Like, we are the main plot that's unfolding in this whole thing. And the heart of God giving us a place to belong. And despite feeling ostracized or marginalized or on the sidelines of what people would say would be a normal experience, maybe you've suffered abuse and trauma and loss that's outside the lines of the normal lane. There's good news. Jesus steps onto the scene and he's towards you, understand? In his story, there's a place for you to come home and to belong. So, I want to give you a few faces of belonging in the realm of belonging to God, and then a few in what it means to belong to one another. And both are equally important when it comes to healing the heart. But as I do, my prayer tonight, friends, is that the Holy Spirit will manifest in a unique way, being the spirit of adoption. And that you'll begin to feel it even as I'm sharing. And it's okay with me if I don't get through all this. But you'll begin to feel the grace come on you to come home. That places in your heart, in your mind, your spirit, your soul, and your body that are actually orphaned at the moment from the Father's love, that there'll be a grace to let down in that and step into home. That the spirit of adoption would roll over this place from the back to the front of the room, and that you and I would get to feel it. A fresh baptism of family and of belonging. And those of you in particular who have suffered rejection, that you would feel that come off of you tonight, and you would get anchored in a place of belonging in him. Okay, is everyone okay? Yes. When it comes to really belonging to God, I love John 15. I'm going to read it in the Message. Live in me, make your home in me, just as I do in you. In the same way that a branch can't bear grapes by itself, but only by being joined to the vine, you can't bear fruit unless you are joined to me. And you probably know it as, abide in me and my word will abide in you, right? And this one, make your home in me. The healthiest hearts are not those that have no problems. It's those who have found their home in God. That's why you can go to the nations and see some of the happiest people in some of the most devastated places. Because it's not circumstantial. The health of the heart has to do with being at home in God and looking to him, right, to get our needs met. And likely you and I would share some testimonies, some resonance in this realm, that there are times in our own life, in our own story, that we could not have gone forward if it weren't for a moment with him, of intimacy with him, of hearing his voice, right? And we see Jesus like consistently finding his home with the Father, withdrawing and having a moment, withdrawing and having a moment. What does it mean for God to be your home and for God to be my home? Home is the place you go back to all the time. Home is the place that you live from. Home is the place where you can let down and be yourself. Home is the place where you can burn the macaroni and cheese and people still like you in the morning, right? Hopefully. Home is the place when it's healthy that you can really be yourself and be known. Make your home in me, Jesus is saying. And that's what's safe for the heart.